everybody, and welcome to another edition of A Chapter a Day Keeps the Doctor Away. My name is Alan, otherwise known as Hisui, and I'm from ReverseThieves.com as well as the Speak Easy podcast. And this time I am looking at Billy Bat, Chapter 110, otherwise known as Prologue. And so, if last week we looked at what is supposedly the final chapter of the Billy Bat comic, and probably a good hint at kind of the final scene or the final set of the Billy Bat manga. This time we jump back in time to Prologue, and it starts with a big color spread of a Billy Bat comic where Billy Bat is in Egypt dealing with the Pharaoh's curse, and he's saying goodbye to the main love interest girl, Lionette, and it has a very Casablanca feel. And at the very end, he mentions that they're looking for Hitler's last painting. And so you definitely get the feeling that it's going to tie into that fake, Walt Disney guy. And that eventually does. But at first, we see him. And he mentions, Hitler's last painting, interesting. And so we see that there's a nosy landlady, and she thinks that there's a Soviet spy, because there's this crazy guy who seemingly is talking to nobody in the room, and he supposedly has an American accent, but she recognizes some foreign accent, to give her the hillbilly voice, which she obviously isn't a hillbilly, but I just like to, associate that, which is a little prejudice on my own part. But, so she sees this guy with a crazy foreign accent talking to himself. And so the FBI guys go into the other people who she finds suspicious because they always look super drained and they are up at all hours of the day. And it turns out to be Kevin and his assistant Chuck Kulnick, and they're doing Billy Bat. And so there's a little banter about the Billy Bat comic, and we learn officially where Kevin found out about how Billy Bat was a symbol from Japan, which starts this whole story off. And, we see them looking every day at, the thing next door, hoping to get a glance of, who is next door, because basically they're across the street from the supposed spies, so the FBI or CIA, whatever these guys are, the agents, U.S. agents, looking for communist spies, they hold out in the house, the apartment where they're making Billy Bat. And, they get into conversation. One of the guys is a big fan. The other guy just recognizes the symbol. And eventually, at the end, they're like, oh, he's no spy. He's just a Billy Bat fanboy who's living across the street because he loves the comic so much. And it turns out, once again, it's the fake Chuck Kulnick, basically the fake Walt Disney. And he, of course, is the one spying on Kevin. And he's like, yes, I must win these people over to my side. As that was apparently Hitler's mission for him to, go and control all the Billy Bats. And we see, he starts looking at the paintings in the room. And, most of them are just standard landscapes. But apparently Hitler's last painting is very familiar because it's the scene that we saw from last episode of the final Billy Bat, which is once again all those bodies, but instead of a little boy, or at least a shapeless boy, we see that in fact, if the modern Kevin had been able to finish that sketch, it is not a little boy, but it's Billy Bat at the center of all those dead bodies. So obviously a little more into the final act of the manga. Just as a side note, I really don't think Kevin is dead. Obviously we're supposed to think that he got shot in the head, and nobody's seen him because he's dead. But it just reminds me too much of Kenji dying in 20th Century Boys, where he's gone for a while, and then it's a big reveal when he comes back. And I don't know. I mean, this new Kevin is definitely not unimportant, and I think he's kind of, like the new stage protagonist. But I have a real distinct feeling that, the original Kevin is going to come back at some point. And I don't think he's going to have to be resurrected. I just don't think he died when we thought he died. Because I think they would have had a little more blood splatter or the such if he were really dead. So, I mean, it is nice to see him in the comic again. But I think he'll be coming back without some kind of like Desos Machina to come in and save him. I think that was just a fake out death. But interesting. Definitely moving towards the end. I am kind of curious if my theory about all the Billy Bats being fourth dimensional creatures is right, but we shall see. Other than that, see you guys next time.